power or their power for political gain is something that's going to have to be looked at. And any inquiry that's going to be set up was going to have to look at how News International attempted to abuse political power for political gain.
We've talked about bank records, your bank records being invaded. We've talked about your lawyers. Medical records is another instance. Can you tell me about that?
I have never talked about my son or wanted to talk about my two sons and my late daughter in public. I've always been very reluctant to bring them into the political arena. I've never thought it was right that the private lives of young children who are growing up, who I want to have an ordinary life, should be paraded across the media. I've always sought to keep them from the glare of publicity, and I think the record will show that that is exactly what I did at Downing Street, despite people wanting to have all sorts of stories about their private life and the family's private life. So I've never talked about my son's medical condition before. I've never talked publicly about my son's medical condition.
But we're at a point where it is very relevant, aren't we, potentially?
Well, I've never talked about it. I'm not sure that even at this stage I want my son to be able to go onto the internet when he's 6 or 7 and find all these stories that have been written about him. And I think the invasion of privacy of young people, young children, is a big issue.
May I ask you, how do you think that your son Fraser's medical condition for cystic fibrosis was leaked out?
Well, I've never talked publicly about Fraser's condition. And obviously we wanted that to be kept private for all the obvious reasons that a parent, you want to do the best by your children. And I've never complained about what happened to me before, but the truth is that information did come out. I was approached by the Sun newspaper. They told me they had this story about Fraser's medical condition. And that they were going to run this story.
How did that affect you as a father?
In tears. Your son is now going to be broadcast across the media. Sarah and I are incredibly upset about it. We're thinking about his long-term future. We're thinking about our family. But there's nothing that you can do about it. You're in public life, and this story appears. You don't know how it's appeared. I've not questioned how it appeared. I've not made any allegations about how it appeared. I've not made any claims about how it appeared. But the fact is, it did appear, and it did appear in the Sun newspaper. And I think
it was Rebecca Brooks who phoned. Am I right?
We were told by the Sun and Rebecca Wade at the time. Rebecca Brooks now was involved. The problem that I have is that if this is a policy of newspapers in this country, that they're going to write about the medical conditions of young children, then you've got to ask yourselves, where are they getting this information from? And I have never made any claims. I'm not making any claims today. I've never wanted to talk about it. I've never raised it in the public arena. I don't really want these matters to be public matters that are about the private lives of a young child.
The Sun say they got it legitimately. They say they got that information legitimately.
Well, they will have to explain themselves. I can't think of any way that the medical condition of a child can be put into the public arena legitimately unless the doctor makes a statement or the family makes a statement. But they will have to explain themselves. But the issue for me is this. I've never wanted to talk about my son's medical condition. I've never wanted to raise questions about it. It is in the public arena now, and I understand it. I make no claims, but the fact of the matter is that I had my bank accounts broken into. I had my lawyers' files effectively blagged, as they call it, with someone getting information from my lawyers. My tax returns went missing at one point. Medical records have been broken into. I don't know how all this happened, but I do know one thing, that in 2 of these instances there is absolute proof that News International was involved in hiring people to get this information. And I do know also that the people that they work with, because this is what really concerns me most, are criminals, known criminals, criminals with records, criminals who sometimes have records of violence as well as records of fraud. and these links with the criminal underworld